Listen. The Platform is a Spanish thriller that won the Midnight Award at TIFF, where we got the chance to catch it last fall. Now it's out on Netflix for anyone who happens to be at home to watch it. It takes place in this tower where an administration has put 2 cellmates per level. At our screening, the director talked about how everything was super detailed, from the building being 2 kilometers tall to each room being 6 meters squared. There's 333 levels for the total 666 people that can be hosted in this place. And it may also all be underground, logistically speaking, but overall it would total to 333 pounds of food going down this platform each day with enough calories for everyone. That said, it only comes down once a day, and since they swap what level you're on each month, you can find yourself feasting like you're at the Bacchanal 1 minute, and next thing you know, it's like you're at a grocery store aisle since everyone took all the essentials. And that ain't good.
Hoyo.
Originally, the script for this was meant to be a play, which I think would highlight the metaphorical aspects a bit better, because, warning for some, this is one of those movies that leaves you with you to choose what the interpretation is going to be, and whatever the answers are, and some things may even be imaginary. But there's also a swap in the title, with the Spanish being el hoyo, translating to the hole, rather than the platform, like it's named in English, because Americans obviously would focus on the actual donut over the donut hole.
Es como una especie de torre de Babel, el hoyo. Y esa era la idea.
So big spoiler warning in case you haven't caught it yet. Let me explain. So Goreng, our main protagonist, wakes up on level 48 with his cellmate Trimagasi in what they call the pit.
Nosotros preferimos llamarlo Centro Vertical de Autogestión.
He entered the hole on his own will to help quit his habit and to get a degree, which leads me to assume that people have made it out in order to retrieve said awards, unless that's what they want you to believe.
¿A quién va a ser? A la administración.
At first, Goreng thinks he's gonna wrap this movie up in 10 minutes by asking the people up on top and bottom to just take their fair share for the betterment of...
¿Es usted comunista?
And they cuss him out. I would say they don't give a crap, but they literally do later. Goreng and Thrimi end up getting along. He explains to him the rules of the pit and how you can't keep any food or the floor will get too hot or cold. He meets Miharu, who writes down every month in search of her child. Goreng reads Don Quixote to him. Trimagasi reminisces on the murder he committed with the self-sharpening knife that they allowed him to bring inside as his one item. You know, it's pretty much your average freshman year, until they get swapped to floor 171.
Y en esos casos, es mejor comer que ser comido.
Then it's senior year. Being elderly, Trimagasi forces this young man into self-isolation and gives him a week before he starts filleting him with the Samurai Plus. But I guess he forgot what day Miharu comes down, because she slices and dices. After almost starving to death, Goreng wakes up on level 33 with the lady who interviewed him, and she's in there because she believes in the system, if you will, and believes that a moment of she has breast cancer, so... You know, clearly something else was up there. But for whatever reason, this lady decided to bring her dog. What did you think was going to happen? Well, when they wake up in 202 the next month, she doesn't hang around long enough to find out.
Adelgacé 12 kilos en 6 semanas.
Wow, pero esto no se cuenta, porque Joaquín fue 14.
Sí, pero lo que pasa, claro, tenía una preparación, tener más dinero y tenía más tiempo para bajar. Y yo me hubiese gustado bajar mucho más, pero claro, tenías un presupuesto de una película de 6 semanas y entonces dijimos, vamos a hacer lo que podamos en 6 semanas. Pues pasar hambre, ayunos de 20 horas, claro.
Goreng then wakes up on the 6th floor after starving for that month and is able to convince his new roommate, Bahara, to join him down the pit to pretty much become lunch ladies, hoping to ration the food in order to send a message up to the administration.
Convencer antes que vencer.
Ya. ¿Y si lo convencemos?
Entonces palo. Pero primero, diálogo.
That said, I don't think he meant this hard. For whatever reason, they turn into Super Smash Bros. And force the first dozen levels to not eat any food. And I'm just surprised that after being on level 202 and getting sliced, that Goreng even has enough energy to be fighting out here like he's right, Palpatine? Either way, on their way down, they try to save Miharu, only to get fatally wounded themselves, leaving Bahara to die on floor 333, where they actually find a child. Now, this is where you get 2 explanations, right? Yeah, they got the metaphor one that ends up with Goreng being dead, or the strictly narrative one that breaks down what the administration's goal was for this experiment, and whether Goreng pounded at the end or not. And it also ends with Goreng being dead. So let's start with that one since we have the scoop.
Que esa niña sea puesta por la administración todos los meses en el último nivel, el ser más indefenso que existe en este mundo, para ver si alguien le da de comer. Todos los meses pueden poner una figura como esa niña para ver si alguien consigue darle de comer. Y es una información que puede tener Miharu, que es la única que lo sabe y por eso baja todos los días, todos los meses. Puede que no sea su hija realmente.
That would explain the Tower of Babel comments and how everyone misinterprets Miharu thinking she has a boy down there in the tower when she's really trying to tell them about the little girl at the bottom. In other words, this administration sounds a lot like Belko. It's a little jigsaw-ish with the way that they're setting up people for an experiment. The goal being, as Goreng explains, not to promote solidarity, but observing what leads to it so that they can control it on the outside.
Si surgiera esa solidaridad, les pondría sobre aviso para evitar que se produjera fuera.
Pretty much, it's the ultimate way of collecting human data and seeing how they work, and then using it to their benefit to see how they can control people in the real world. I think it makes for a crazy ending and one that may spawn more sequels, since the director has stated that there are towers all around, which could mean international versions of the platform everywhere. That said, it would be a little ironic to milk out a franchise when you consider what the movie is supposed to represent. Now, to say the movie touches on capitalism and socialism would be
Obvio.
but every character is meant to represent a form of ideology that contrasts Goreng's and sets him on his journey. Even their names. Goreng stands for fried, and he's clearly meant to look more and more like his book counterpart, Don Quixote. Pajara is the religious one whose name stands for spices. Trimagasi ain't none of that. He's like the Theo who tries to get away with stuff. Imoguri is supposed to be named after a graveyard complex, but she's clearly the type who would speak to the manager. You know, she had the privilege to choose who her cellmate was going to be, unlike the rest, because she was working for them. And she started on a level where they fed her. But she was also oblivious to what was actually going on, thinking that there was only 200 levels. She was goofy enough to bring Pluto in with her. So, you know, they kind of did leave her looking like a Wells Fargo employee.
¿Por qué no lo sabía?
I've heard viewers comment that the rich aren't really a part of the experiment, and I'm like, yeah, they are. They're on the outside running it. They're the ones who are setting the rules, so they don't have to run by them. Like Goreng says, they profit off it. If there is a kid at the bottom, then I personally don't think that they care, so I don't really see them sending him up as a message that's going to change their hearts. In my opinion, the panacota, which wasn't even their idea, but was told should be their message, does make it. We just saw that bit earlier in the movie when the guy got so mad it was sent up with a hair. The 333 levels representing a personal hell is... Yeah, but I do think he dies before he reaches the kid, and that's why we see him having trippier hallucinations than Nick Cage. You know, just like Inception, whenever the top wobbles, you know. Here it's the fact that the top levels stop getting hot or cold when they keep the panacota after the platform leaves, meaning that they're going against the rules, meaning that everything after that descent is him fulfilling something he wish he had done. That's not enough. Here's a quote from the director.
Lo importante es el mensaje.
Overall, I think it's a decent movie that I wish fleshed out more things, or at least, you know, wasn't cut down as much. At our Q&A, someone asked about the diploma and what field it was in, and they didn't have an answer to it, which, you know, I would think that the field the main character would want a degree in kind of would define who they are and what they would do. In my opinion, the script does manipulate certain scenarios as well in order to keep with its balanced critique, but in like the most brutal way possible. It may be overly violent one second and then goofy just for the sake of a cameo the next, but most of all, I just wonder if the intent of it not being a social critique, but a social self-criticism, as the director puts it, even matters in a time where we watch a movie called Us and still find a way to blame other people afterwards.
Esta película no va de cambiar el mundo, esta película va de cambiarse a uno mismo. Esta película apela a la solidaridad que puede ejercer cada uno. ¿Cómo actuarías tú, no él, tú, si estuvieras en el nivel 6 o si estuvieras en el nivel 200? Porque es muy fácil ser solidario si estás en el 14 y puedes dejar pasar algo, pero ¿cómo actuarías cuando lo que tienes no es suficiente ni siquiera para ti mismo?
Thank you guys for checking out this video. I'm curious to know your thoughts down below in the comment section. There may be possible sequels. You know, the director has gone on record saying that there is a cut that's twice as long. So again, I feel that there's many times scenes that got cut and you don't realize that there is an answer for them. But when you get, you know, the more mainstream produced version of the movie, it leaves a lot of viewers with answers. So I'm sure that there's a lot more that they could do with what was cut. You know, they could make a franchise like Cube. They're already bringing it to America probably, just like they did with Parasite. In fact, the director even has a 1,000-page storyboard breaking down every moment, even combining the score with the sound effects of the platform, which is a really cool thing that he does in the movie, like having all the noises also be a part of the score. And he's got all the character movement, so he might make a graphic novel out of that, just like Bong's thinking of making, but supposedly he doesn't want to be a part of any follow-ups.
Que no lo voy a hacer yo, porque yo ya he salido del hoyo.
In my opinion, I'm not looking forward to big studio heads profiting off these stories. because that's not ironic in any way, shape, or form. But to be honest, I'm sure most of us are just out here like Goreng right now. Other than that, I'm curious to know your thoughts, what interpretations you got from it. I'm sure that there's different things that you may note the more times that you watch it. What you would like to see if there was a sequel, because there probably will be one, or any other movies that you want to see us cover. Other than that, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and you'll wake up on floor 1.